Workplaces run on more than written rules. They run on quiet expectations, the ones no one writes down, but everyone feels. These unspoken norms shape how we communicate, how we make decisions, and how we interpret one another, often without even realizing it. Welcome to the Unwritten Manual. I'm Sarah. Today, we pull back the curtain on the rules we don't name through a story you might recognize. This show looks at the hidden rules that keep workplaces moving, rules that only make sense after you've learned them the hard way. Each episode takes one of those moments, slows it down, and shows what's happening underneath. Because once you can see a pattern, you start seeing it everywhere. So if something sounds familiar, it's because these patterns are more common than people realize. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Here's the scene. It's a Tuesday morning in a repair company's dispatch center. Alex, an experienced technician, is finishing his coffee when his phone buzzes. Jamie, a newer technician, is in the field with a machine that isn't starting. Jamie sounds stressed. He tells Alex the symptoms, the indicator light, the buzzing sound, the error code on the screen. Alex listens, then asks, "Did you check the fuse?" Jamie pauses. Not yet, he says. To Alex, it's obvious. Jamie hasn't gone through the basics of troubleshooting. He takes a breath. "Check the fuse first," he says. Jamie hangs up, but something about the tone sticks with him. It wasn't what Alex said, it was how it felt. A little sharp, a little dismissive, like maybe he shouldn't have called at all. The call ends quickly. Both walk away frustrated, neither exactly sure why. Now, it would be easy to say one of them handled it wrong, but both were actually following different versions of the same unwritten rule. Alex learned in a place where independence equals competence. You try things, you make mistakes, and you figure it out. Calling too soon looks lazy. Jamie learned in an environment built on accuracy and safety. You check before you risk breaking something or hurting someone. Waiting too long to ask looks careless. No one ever said these rules out loud. They just existed, quietly shaping behavior. That's the invisible clash. Figure it out first versus ask before you get it wrong. Both approaches are driven by risk, just different kinds. Alex avoids asking questions because he doesn't want to look unsure. He works things out on his own and tries to show competence by getting it right without asking for help. Jamie has the opposite instinct. He asks questions early because he doesn't want to be wrong in front of others. They both have the same goal, which is to do good work. Different fears, different instincts. And that mismatch, it's what drives a lot of the day-to-day tension at work. A few weeks later, they cross paths again, this time on site. Different machine, same situation waiting to happen. But this time, Alex starts differently. He says, "Walk me through what you've tried so far." Jamie, relieved by the tone, explains his steps. He checked the power supply, the relay, restarted the machine twice. Then Alex asks, "What made you stop there?" Jamie hesitates. He admits he wasn't confident testing electrical current by himself with no one else around. And in that small moment, something clicks. Alex can finally see Jamie's logic. They fix the issue together in minutes. No tension, no guessing, just collaboration. That's the important part. Asking to hear someone's thought process instead of assuming they didn't have one. And for Jamie, it changes things too. Before calling, he makes a quick mental list. what he's tried, what he knows, and where he's stuck. When he calls now, he starts with that. It signals, I'm not lost, I'm thinking, and I'm ready to learn. You can find the same moment almost anywhere. A nurse double checking with a doctor, a project manager asking before approving, a rookie teacher texting a mentor. For the person asking early, it can feel like walking into a test you didn't study for. For the person being asked, it can feel like getting roped into doing someone else's homework. That's the strange space where the unwritten rules actually live, not in a handbook or policy, but in the quiet friction between good intentions. And here's why those differences stick. People were trained differently. Some learned that struggling is the lesson. You push through uncertainty and you learn by doing. Others were taught that accuracy and safety matter more. You ask early so you don't break anything. Both methods work, but most workplaces never say which one they actually want or how much independent thinking is expected before asking for help. So everyone fills in the blanks on their own, based on how they were trained, what got rewarded, and what got criticized. Then they assume everyone else was taught the same thing. That's where the confusion starts. Both sides think they're doing it right. Here's a potential fix for that gap. If you're more experienced, try not to start with, why can't you figure this out? Instead, ask, what have you checked so far? Or what made you decide to ask? Those questions, asked in a tone that doesn't put the other person on the defensive, helps you understand how the person is thinking instead of making them feel like they are being tested. If you're newer, before you ask for help, do some homework, try to figure things out, and share 3 quick things: what you understand, what you've already tried, and where you're stuck. That signals effort and judgment, not helplessness. After all, most frustration at work isn't about skill. It's about mismatched expectations that no one ever defined. And once people talk about those expectations, friction turns into learning. Tension turns into trust. So the next time someone asks earlier than you'd expect or waits longer than you'd prefer, don't assume it's poor judgment. They might simply be following a different set of invisible rules. Because work doesn't just run on what's written down, it runs on what everyone quietly assumes. And once you can see those patterns, you can decide which ones to keep and which ones to rewrite. That's the heart of the unwritten manual. Unspoken rules whispered between the lines of every workplace, explained through the moments we all recognize. Because those rules don't live in policy manuals, they live in the pause before someone answers, or they live in the tone that changes a conversation. If today's story helped you see your world a little differently, follow the show. Seeing the pattern is the first step, rewriting it is the next. But this is only one pattern, and once you notice it, you start seeing others everywhere. In the next episode, we're pulling back the curtain on a moment that drives people crazy. When you share an idea in a meeting and it goes nowhere, then 5 minutes later, someone else says the same thing and suddenly everyone is on board. Same idea, different reaction. So what's happening in that gap between when you say it and when they do? Why do some words carry weight while others seem to disappear? Once you see it, you'll start noticing it everywhere, in meetings, in brainstorming sessions, and in everyday conversations. And after that episode, you won't hear the phrase, "That's a great point," the same way again. If this story put words to something you felt at work, follow or subscribe to the Unwritten Manual. That's how you tell us this matters. and it keeps future episodes possible. Have you seen this pattern play out? Maybe you were the one who spoke, or maybe you were the one who got the credit. Share with us, comment, tell me what happened, because the more stories we share, the clearer these unwritten rules become. Remember, we're all still learning this thing called work, and life for that matter. So pay attention to what goes unspoken. That's usually where the real rules live. I'm Sarah, and this is the Unwritten Manual.